I had I had a decision to make I'm literally on the prison bus to transport me to the juvenile center, and I said, I'm not gonna fight anymore. I'm not. There's nobody in the juvenile system who I fear for my life. Now, there were people who could take my life in big boy jail, right? So I'm gonna fight. But I had just made this sort of vow, this covenant that I was not gonna fight anymore. Come to find out, juvenile have more fights than adult system, y'all. So
They're froggy.
I went to the Cheltenham Youth Facility, and I went to their unit number 6, and they have a giant common room. Sorry. I had a giant common room, okay? So it's just this giant rectangle square, all right? You had those McDonald's sort of picnic tables that are all attached to each other sort of thing on 3 sides of that rectangle. You had East Side Baltimore, West Side Baltimore, and you had PG and DC. So PG is Prince George's County, which is just north of DC, and they roll with DC crew, okay? They talk different. There's different slang, different vernacular. It's different. So you have 3
You're
different
saying
gangs.
this, I picture me and Trey walking with our food, and we're just like,
So don't worry.
Break out
Sit down.
Indian style in the middle of the floor.
Don't worry. I got a spot for the 2 of you. The white boys get 1 table in the corner between the East Side and PG County. Now, here's the trick. There's 200 kids in this room. It doesn't matter if there are 4 white boys or 20 white boys. You still only got 1 table.
I would have looked at the wall.
Figure it out.
I'd have went and looked at the wall.
So-
been like, I ain't making eye contact with nobody.
let me have that cornbread. You'd be like, you have
You had the whole thing.
So the reason that juvenile was more violent is because these kids got chips on their shoulders.
Yeah.
And there's 200 of them in one room.
Nope.
Yeah.
So when
And
things
it's a big
kicked off,
pecking order of
they were-
who's
they were
in charge,
riots.
yeah.
It wasn't like 2 or 3 people fighting it. It was like 40, 50 people fighting at one time.
You gonna get pulled in whether you like it or not.
You back yourself up, put your back on the wall, and you just throw hands at anybody. So I can tell you, I was in that facility.
What a bad time to make a vow. I'm done fighting.
I was in that facility.
John's
for-
like, I ain't fighting no more. Dadgummit.
And I didn't, not once. I was in the facility for 6 months, and I never got in another
What
fight.
did you do? Like,
So
put yourself in the fetal position and just ball up and be like,
no, I was not afraid, and I wasn't not afraid of people because I was tough. I was not afraid because I truly had this fatalistic belief, and even today I have these feelings at times. Kids change that, but if I die, I'm gonna go to heaven. If I get beat within an inch of my life, I'll heal. Like,
Oh, you've been reading Paul, bro. Yeah, I mean, think about it. You've just
it
been reading
doesn't-
Paul.
It doesn't matter. Like, I'm here. I'm not gonna fight. So anyway, there was me and this one other kid who I'll get to in a minute. We're the only 2 white guys that got to sit where we wanted. So there were 2 things.
did they not know that you had Okinawa in you?
They found out that I had just gotten transferred for attempted murder from the adult system.
I mean, Karate Kid relationship and stuff like that. I figured they wouldn't mess with you.
You would
at
have
all.
straight played that, wouldn't you?
Crane kicked them right there.
So I ended up, I'm pretty good at basketball. So between basketball and reading my Bible, nobody really messed with me. Nobody talked to me. Nobody come at me, except the one other white guy who is all of like 260 pounds, 6'2". He's a monster.
What's his name?
James.
Yeah, you don't know.
Trey would have been like, you're my best buddy.
His
You're my
name's-
friend.
Look, I'm
You're a boy and you're my friend.
I'm gonna put his whole name out. His name is James Yates, and
He
James
just sounds
Yates,
like
he's a beast.
Yeah.
Look,
Yates
so
would
look,
eat somebody.
he had the same haircut. He had the same haircut, and he looked just like Drago from Rocky IV. That's who he.
Have you
his whole
talked to
persona.
James? Like, I mean,
I have.
you have. You think
So-
he'll watch this?
Story gets better.
James, we love you, man.
Story gets better. So
You're my boy.
So
my
James is a little miffed, right? So James is a little miffed that Little John, they call me Saint John in that place. They call me Saint John. Got to sit wherever he wanted. So I would literally sit on different sides every single day in the midst of like other people. So anyway, and I would just, I didn't throw it out there. I was bragging. I wasn't afraid of anyone. So everyone else is just scared. So I just sit down and read my Bible and eat my food, whatever, and it was fine. And I ball out. So I ball out. So anyway, so James, there's this blind spot. Okay, so you got the big room. The pod is up here, the observation port, right, where the guards are. The 3 guards for 200 people. And there's a stairwell right here. That's where all the fights kick off, is the blind spot, right? Everybody knows it. So I'm going up the stairs, James coming down the stairs, and he had been trying to get me to fight him for a while, just to kind of put me in my place. Like, you're no one special. And I refused to fight him. He even spit my cereal one time, and I refused to fight him. I wasn't afraid. I just didn't want to fight anymore. And so he catches me in the blind spot. I know it's going to kick off. And here it is. You know, I'm sorry, God. I tried. We going to fight. And the first thing I'm going to do is hook underneath his hip and throw him over the rail. And then I'm going to keep hitting him. And I'm not going to stop until hopefully the guards get to me before he gets up. Because that's my only chance.
I hope they hurry.
Yeah, you hit first, you hit fast, you hit hard, and you don't stop. You hope someone gets to you before he gets up. Because that's my only chance. So there's a line of both people behind us. And sure enough, he steps in front of me. And I'm like, here we go. And he's like, why won't you fight me? I'm about to start crying. Holy Spirit just put words in my mouth. And now I have undergraduate degree in theology and master's divinity. I'm an ordained bishop in the Church of God.
No.
I was not any of those things in this moment. I'm a 17-year-old convicted killer, like attempted murderer. And I looked him dead in the eye, and I said, I can never hate you as much as I love God.
That's good stuff.
He starts bawling on the stairs, and now it's super awkward. There's 50, 60 people behind both of us stopped. He starts just bawling and tell me how he was sexually abused as a child, and just starts just vomiting whatever toxicity that was inside of him. He just started bawling. I was like, man, you want to like step off? Oh yeah, we gotta step off the side. People start walking by. Ain't nobody making fun of James. James can cry all he wants. Ain't nobody saying nothing to him. So we step off to the side and we talk. And he was the first person I ever led to Christ.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And all I knew was this ticky-tack sinner's prayer that I was taught when I was in the adult system. And we prayed. And then over the course of the next few months, James and I actually read out loud the entire New Testament side by side.
Wow.
And I have never done that with anyone since. James had a kid by a girl who said it was his. He didn't think so. Well, when he got out, he ended up marrying this girl. And he started teaching Sunday school at a Catholic church afterwards. And so I don't know where he's at today, and, you know, and how his walk with faith is. But in that moment, you know, it was pretty incredible. So I ended up doing, 4 or 5 more months in a juvenile detention center, and I did more time in a residential treatment center for juvenile delinquents. Ended up getting out of jail. So there's a whole lot in there, but I'm sure you guys don't want to take 6 hours. So I get out of jail. Now the dreaming. I'm actually out of jail. I couldn't go anywhere. You talking about anxiety? This is a guy who's been in defensive mode for 2 full years, right? I couldn't go to Walmart. There were too many people. I couldn't see everyone. I mean, it was freaking me out. Like, people walk behind me, and like I'm telling you, like, I see some of this in some military folks. They go into a restaurant, they got to sit with their back against the wall. They got to see who's coming in the door. It was very similar. It was very similar feeling that I had everywhere I went. And so now I had a year of high school that I had to go through. I started going to this church called the Chesapeake Christian Center through the dating ministry. That dating ministry is powerful. Absolutely. So this girl caught my eye, and man, the way she smiled at me, I knew she loved me. I didn't realize she actually smiled at everybody that way.
She's just a Christian,
because she loved Jesus. She's a fanatical follower. She's a lover of Jesus, and I ended up going to this church, and I was hooked to this church from day one because of this older lady named Miss Beverly.
This is powerful.
And Miss Beverly would greet people. You had to go through, it was one of these old school churches. It was built weird. You had to walk through the kitchen to get to the sanctuary. I don't know what to tell you. So she would stand in the kitchen door and just welcome everybody, greet her squad, name tag, and everything, right? Official. big old red lipstick. It was crazy. So I come in all fake thugged out and, oversized white T-shirt, my Tim's, Cinnamons with the bubblegum soles, get you guys
I don't think we had that outfit.
So
I don't even know what he just said.
So big baggy jeans and stuff. So I walk in, strutting in and stuff, and Miss Beverly wraps her arms around the outside of my arms. You know what I'm talking about when someone hugs you and you don't want to hug them back? They just pin your arms against your body. So she hugs me like that. She puts a big kiss on the side of my cheek, complete stranger, and says, I just want you to know how happy I am that you're here. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. But I kind of like it a little bit. It's okay. You can keep hugging me. I'm good with this.
Is that the first time you've been hugged in a long time?
I don't know. I'm not telling you his name if it's not true.
Well, the reason why I love this story.
And that's another podcast.
You know why I love this story? Is as simple as some people believe their role in the church is just being a simple greeter.
Mm-hmm.
What it means that you have no idea someone is grasping for hope. They're grasping for love. The power of someone before the word was ever spoken, before you ever heard a worship song or the word, someone just made you feel loved.
Yeah.
You know what I get out of that too, though, is how hard it is for somebody to receive love.
Yeah.
How hard it is for somebody to let somebody in, and sometimes you have to invade their territory. I mean, she 100% invaded your territory, and you got to let the Holy Spirit lead you on that.
Sure.
But man, there are people out there that have been abused and been hurt and been beat down and got past, and they're always looking over their shoulder. But you never know who you're coming in contact with. They need love.
Powerful.
Yeah.
So now you're connected to a church.
So that became my primary family. Now, don't forget, my family's destroyed at this point. I have no relationship with my family. I am 100% lone wolf, isolated. I'm an orphan in this world. I was adopted into the body of the Chesapeake Christian Center. They became my primary family.
I think the church is today 3C Church, something like that. It's
So they became my primary family. So much so that literally I'm like homeless. When I ended up going off to college, I would come home for the summers and I didn't have a place to stay. And so there were a couple families in the church that would literally put me up in their like basement or something like that for 2 or 3 months. And incredible people. The first Christmas ornament. Now you guys might think this is like a small little ticky-tack, gift, but my family didn't do birthdays well. We didn't do Christmas as well. We didn't have like traditions and dinners. We didn't have none of that. So I was home for Christmas at this one family's thing, and they had got me like presents. And I'm like, I'm not even part of your family. And I was like, oh my, they got me like this button-down shirt. But one of the gifts they got me was a Christmas ornament. And it was Jesus in a manger, and you like clip it to a Christmas light. And it was the first Christmas ornament I ever got. I still have that ornament today. And I still tell the story. When they crossed the Jordan, Joshua crosses the Jordan, they set up stones as a monument, as a memorial. And they require by law, every time someone asks you, why are these stones this way? You have to stop what you're doing, and you're required by law to tell the story. We need things in our lives that require people to ask us, what's the story behind that?
Yeah.
So anyway, I am now in church. I'm going to school full time, and I'm working full time just to kind of make it by. And I felt very strongly that, while I was in juvenile system, they did not have a chapel service. It's actually in your patient's bill of rights. They're required to provide you religious services, and I read the manual, so I knew they had to do that for me. So then they ended up letting us go to this Lutheran chaplain service with the VA that was connected to the same facility. So you had like 70, 80-year-old kind of in wheelchair veterans next to juvenile delinquent John singing hymns. And that was the first exposure to worship I ever had, was Blessed Assurance, was Leaning on the Everlasting Arms, Amazing Grace. And I couldn't sing, but I'm going to sing, and I'm going to tell you, the life I saw in this Lutheran chaplain's face when she saw me walking, she was so happy. And then by week 2, week 3 of doing this, there were 12, 15 kids that were now coming over. And then by the second month, they had to staff an extra staff member to go with the 40 plus kids that started to go to this chaplain service. And so that was cool. So about 2 weeks before I was supposed to be discharged, juvenile justice illegally transferred me to a different facility and started me at day one of my treatment again because they didn't feel that my punishment was strong enough. So I was supposed to be released. I completed this program, and they're like, no. So lawyers like working through that. I get to this other place, and they don't have religious services again. So I start the whole process. I write a grievance. I work I'm working the bureaucracy here, because I know my Bill of Rights. I get released miraculously on July 2nd, 1998, through a petition from my public defender. And I had one of those, those little desk calendars, verse of the day, and you peel it off, every day. July 2nd, 1996, the verse that day, John 8:32.
Wow.
You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
That's good stuff.
And I remember saying to myself, I was like, that's funny. Ring, ring. They literally get a phone call.
Bro.
And you're like, John, go pack your stuff. I was like, what are you talking about? Someone's coming to pick you up. You just got released. In the history of the Thomas O'Farrell Youth Center, over 60 years, no one has ever been released early in 60 years before me. They're supposed to diagnose you with problem areas, behavioral issues that you have to work on within the first 30 days of your intake. I was there for 60 days, and they had not diagnosed me with a problem area yet. And so, I'm not Joseph, but God shows favor on people who don't deserve it every single day.
That's right.
Yep.
And when you look back at so many parts of the story, you just see God's favor and his favor and his favor. And I didn't earn none of it. So now I just felt this deep sense that there was unfinished business at the Thomas O'Farrell Youth Center. I didn't get that religious thing started. So I'm now 18 years old. I thought that everybody had this sort of secret ministry they were doing, like they were going to serve God, but they weren't letting their left hand know what their right hand was doing so that man wouldn't steal their blessings, their treasures here, rob their treasures from heaven. So I felt like everyone had their own little ministry they were doing. They just didn't tell me about it. So I felt like, listen, I'm no preacher, but I could read like a chapter of the book of John like these volunteers did, and I'll just pray the sinner's prayer with them. So I got permission to go back to the Thomas O'Farrell Youth Center that I was released from. That was like 6-7 months later. And I would show up on a Sunday night, and I would read a chapter of the book of John, and we pray the sinner's prayer. So it started with 4 people, and then it was 10 people. And then after like a month, and I can't communicate to you the ridiculousness of the setting here, okay? They had to take us to the dining room because it was the only place that would hold more than 40 people. There were 40 people locked up, juvenile offenders. I would stand in the front railing where there was the line to go get your food. I would literally stand there and just read the book of John, chapter at a time, and pray the sinner's prayer. That was the whole service. No music, no education. That's all I got. A one-trick pony.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that for months. Well, I didn't know, this is Church of God ignorance here. I didn't know that the really spiritual people go to church on Sunday nights. No one had told me that you're not an actual real Christian unless you go on Sunday nights. So I started getting browbeat by the blue hairs. You taught me that, by the way. I didn't know what blue hairs was until you taught me.
It's a real thing.
So I started getting browbeat, like, why aren't you here on Sunday nights? I was like, oh, well, I do this. I got this other thing. I didn't want to tell people. So I got this other thing that I do, and they're like, what's more important than God? I was like, well, I'm serving God. So then finally I had to come out with it. And my youth pastor at the time, he was like, wait, you do what? How many people? Did anybody give their lives to Jesus? I was like, yeah. I see him get his pen out. How many people gave their lives to Jesus?
Oh, no.
Reports.
You are being entered into the religion world.
So anyway, he's like, well, that's awesome. I'd love to go with you one day. So I took him up there, and I thought he was going to pop his lid. He was just like, this is amazing. This is awesome. I was like, oh, cool. I think it's pretty cool, too. He's like, how long have you been doing this? I was like, I don't know, about like a year, something like that. So we had done some like rough calculations and stuff, and I had prayed with, I don't know, upwards of 1,000 people over the course of a year to give their lives to Jesus.
That's awesome.
And people come at me like, well, where do you think those people are now? Well, I was like, I don't know. Where do you think that guy is that you prayed with last week? Where he today? You know? So I don't know. You know, there's a lot we are missing with regards to discipleship, even in our churches today. And I had no sense of what discipleship was back then. I just had such a small amount of knowledge, and I just had this deep sense of obligation to serve. And so I just did whatever I knew to do. And so I remember driving home from the Thomas O'Farrell Youth Center one day, and just at this point, I was a year in community college for computer science, and I'm telling you again, with all honesty, I literally took this job career guide quiz, like what are you capable of doing, whatever, and it was like electrical engineering, computer science, like they make the most money. So I did all these tests, and I got a 1,500 on my SATs, and you know, you're a smart guy, you can do whatever you want. So I did this, and I was like, well, I'm gonna make the most money, so I can give it all to church. I'm telling you, I literally had no dreams. Like I didn't want a nice car, I wanted the highest house. Like I just wanted to make all
Serve
money
Jesus.
I could to give it away.
Yeah.
And super naive. Now, it sounds dumb now, but honestly, that's really how I felt. So I do a year of this. I have a 4.0 in college, and I'm bored to tears. I was like, I hate this. This is so boring. And I'm driving home from the Thomas O'Farrell Youth Center, and I was like, what about this? I really like doing this. This is fun. I like this part, you know? So then I make an appointment with my pastor, senior pastor, not the youth pastor, make an appointment with senior pastor, and amazing man of God he is. And I was like, Pastor, I think I'm called. I think I'm supposed to be a preacher. That's what I'm supposed to do. He looks me dead in the eye, like stone cold. He's like, no, you're not. I was like, what? No. I prayed about it. I'm telling you, I just want to serve God. This is what I want to do. I'm going to be a preacher, evangelist. That's what I want to do. I want to lead people to Jesus. I want to be evangelist.
And he says no.
He says, John, I'm telling you right now, that's not for you. You need to go find something else to do. Dude, dejected isn't even the word. Like, I just want to crawl. I was embarrassed. I was just horrified. I was like, oh, I was not expecting that, you know? So I go home. I'm super upset. And I talked to my girlfriend's mom, who was more like my mom than my mom ever was. And she's like, just pray about it. Just pray about it. Now, she had insider information that I would not know about till later, but she had a poker face. She didn't let me in. So I couldn't shake it. I was like, you know something? I'm praying. I was like, I know I'm called. I'm called. I made another appointment with the pastor. And I told him, I got a little loud with him. I was like, now this is like old school pastor, like suit, tie on a Tuesday morning at 9 a.m.
That's what Trey.
He's the only one that's
That's what it looks like if you come to Trey's office.
So
Every Tuesday morning.
I said, Pastor, I know that I'm called. And if you're not going to support me, I'm going to go do this anyway, whether it's in this denomination or somewhere else. Like, I'm called. I'm going to go do this. And he's like, John, calm down. Calm down, John. Just settle down. I was like, no, I'm serious. I was like, John, settle down. He's like, you know how many people walk into this office every single week think they're going to be the next Billy Graham? I tell everybody that the first time. I was like, you do what? He's like, yeah, it really helps me filter out people who are really passionate. Because if it's God who's calling you, nobody behind a desk can tell you no. I was like,
So
dude,
true.
that's like expert level, like IQ 1000 move, right? I was like,
He got me.
oh, I passed the test. I'm so happy. So then he hooks me up with this guy named Angel Barrios, and he's an evangelist. I travel with him a little bit. And anyway, I prayed about it and felt called to go to this. Well, if you're called to the Church of God, there's only one school you can go to, right?
Yeah.
There's only one school that preachers go to. It's the Lee University in Cleveland, Tennessee.
And it was wild. We did not know that we were all there together at the same time. Pretty wild.
So I transferred to Lee University, and I meet with an advisor, this guy named Donald Bowdle, some old guy from Maryland, probably not very important. And it literally just fell to him to attach to me as my advisor because of my last name. Because, like, you know, letters A through E go to Bowdle, you know, whatever, Terry Cross. So I go to Donald Bowdle, And he was like, well, what do you want to study? I was like, I want to study God. He laughs at me. He's like, yes, Mr. Epley, I understand. Is there a particular degree that you're interested in? I was like, well, what's the hardest one? He's like, he just sort of Cheshire Cat smiles. He's like, that would be mine, Bible and theology. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. He's like, that requires 2 years of Greek, Mr. Epley. I'm like, okay, it's like Spanish. So I'm pretty good at Spanish. In community college, I got an A in community college in Spanish. So I get there, and I ended up getting through it. So I got Bible and theology.
And not only that, you've met your wife there.
I met my amazing wife there. So I felt like I wanted to start a Bible study in my dorm. And it started with 4 people again. I don't know what the 4 thing keeps coming up, but it started with 4 people. And as it started growing, some of my church sisters from Chesapeake Christian Center, who had also come to college, as well as some of their friends, had started coming to this Bible study. They would do cookies and hospitality, and I would teach. I had a friend who would lead worship. And so we started running 20, 30 people in a dorm, just once a week, something like that. And anyway, one of these girls named Tasha ended up being one of my best friends. And pluses and minuses, if your to-be wife was your best friend for 2 years, she knows all your ex-girlfriends. She knows all the stupid stuff you've ever said or done. She has seen everything. There's no hiding. So
And she still picks you.
when she said, yes, let's date, I was like, I don't have to explain nothing. She knows everything. This is awesome. It was harder to decide whether to date or not than it was to get married. Like, we went back and forth with, should we date, should we not date, for 6 months. We dated for 3 months, and I was like, we're going to get married. That was it. So it'll be 21 years this year.
Wow.
So,
And then one of the cool parts is you go out to do ministry. You would think, and never hearing the story, you would think, dude, sky's the limits. Right? I mean,
credentials.
nothing but, whatever it is, there's a lot of red tape sometimes. And I want John to tell a story a little bit, because some people feel like, they need a backing and what the support is. It was hard for you to get your credentials because of your story.
Yeah, so I'm 2 years in. I'm a junior now.
Well, I can see when you sit down in front of the examination board and they're like, hey, how you doing? You got any issues? Well, I beat a guy with a bat, and I'm sure
Also bipolar.
I'm sure they picked up their pen and they were just like, okay.
I was given life without parole.
And it's also Tennessee as well. It's not out in the outskirts. We're the heart of bureaucracy for the Church of
We're
God.
gonna put a little side note in here. Keep an eye on this young man.
So I go to get my credentials, and the way they did it was you showed up to take your written test. I took the written test, and I finished first, of course. I think I scored a 97% on the test. And then they dismissed everyone to go to lunch who didn't finish their test. And they were like, do whatever you need to do to finish your test after you get back from lunch. I was like, what is that? Does that mean they get to look up the answers at lunch and come? Okay, we're leaving that alone. Yeah. So anyway, I was the first one to finish the test. And then they were like, as soon as you finish the test, come sit in the hall. And then we'll start calling you guys up for interviews. I was like, cool. So I finished my test. I sit. Sitting, still sitting. 5, 6, 7 other people. They finish their test. They all go upstairs, get interviewed. I was like, I've been here for a while. And then they were like, yeah, they want to save you for last, Mr. Epley. I was like, oh, okay. So everyone else is it's 20, 30 people. So they finish, they all get interviewed, they all leave. So I go up and do this interview. And it was said to me that I did pass the interview, but it was a split decision. It was not unanimous. I was like, does that matter? Does it? I don't know. Is it a big deal or not? Is it using unanimous? I don't know. So then I get this letter. It's like, can't do it. Can't give you credentials, son. I was like, could you not have told me this before I started this $80,000 education? Because that would have been great, So I talked to several people. So Dr. Bowdle goes to bat for me. Terry Cross goes to bat for me. Bob Bales goes to bat for me. I was doing an internship at Westmore. Kelvin Page finally gets involved. He's like, "This is ridiculous. It's been going on long enough. Has anyone even talked to legal about this? Like, to in the bylaws and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. This is a juvenile offense." So Kelvin gets involved, and
For those that don't know, it's just God had put people in your life that could leverage that you didn't have. You didn't have a last name. You didn't have anybody connected to.
No.
God had put people in your life.
He didn't have the last name Childers.
Or Brown. Or Brown.
I am
And-
absolutely an orphan.
Yeah.
Like I'm an orphan. So, but
If you got the last name Childers, you get what you want to in
I
church.
got.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and so there's this place where
Yeah, let's talk about
there's
that,
some
what you said.
amazing ministers that have ministered. They're ministering to you now in this place.
So it got to the point where Kelvin Page goes to bat for me, and that gets traction. So I then have to go to the Church of God International offices and do a legal deposition on a recorded video, and Mike and Dennis Watkins is the legal attaché for the Church of God, and he asked me all these questions, and then he turns off the recording. He's like, "Mr. Epley, just so you know, I'm coming at this completely objective, and I just want you to know, I have responsibilities here. It's my responsibility to protect the church body." I was like, "Yes, sir, I completely understand. No offense at all." He's like, "I just want you to know that I'm no longer objective. I will be your biggest advocate behind the scenes, and I will do everything I can to make sure you're part of this movement." Wow. I was like, the guy who was against me, whose name I will not mention out of respect, the guy who was against me was sitting right next to me. He was like, hold on, Dennis, hold on. We got to talk about this.
Yeah.
He literally, like, right in front of me was like, "I need you to slow your roll. And we got to talk about, we got to process this." So
That's good.
So anyway, long story long, it took a different overseer to come into office. Within 2 weeks, Brother David Griffiths apologized for the process and said my credentials are in the mail. But I had to be okay with not getting credentials in the Church of God. Like, I didn't stop my education. I didn't stop studying. I didn't stop my calling because I was having issues with bureaucracy. They are doing things to the best of their ability to protect the things that they are given to steward well, So I respect that. I understand. You said, you have to reap what you sow. I don't deserve to be free. I don't deserve to have the ability to have an authority over a church body, right? I don't deserve any of that. Like, if I'm gonna be honest, like, the reaping would be that I go be happy sitting in a pew and not being
That's
responsible for
grace.
other people.
That's grace again.
100%.
And so in this story, I want to start steering it towards a place where I said a minute ago is you would think sky's the limit. You have this freedom now, and now you have this freedom and this stamp by a denomination that goes, go, run with this truth. Let's go tell everyone the truth that has set you free. And, to fast forward time, you're able to minister. You're able to be a part of ministry, but then there is an enemy. The same enemy that started this thing of I'm going to take John out is still the enemy that you're fighting.
Don't you wish some stories would end earlier?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
They live
John was
happily
this
ever after.
evil, horrible human being, this piece of garbage that deserves to be in prison the rest of his life. God loves even the worst of us at our worst time, at just the right time. God died, Jesus died for the ungodly, right? Like, amen, stamp it,
We're done.
close the book. Unfortunately,
That wasn't your story.
I think it's James that warns us, don't use your freedom to go commit sin. And so one of the things I struggle with is pornography. Pornography is incredibly prevalent in prison. No one's sitting there over my shoulder like, "Hey, John, that's actually not very Christian of you to look at that stuff." And so it was this sort of, I know premarital sex was sinful. I read that. But there's probably some psychological stuff where mom didn't love you well, and so you're looking for the affection. I know there's all that stuff is real and all that. Also, I found out post facto that bipolar type 2 in particular, the chemical makeup of your brain is a little bit different too. So there are certain medications that don't work on me because my dopamine levels are so off the charts that it doesn't touch it. So like things like Oxy and stuff like that, like narcotics don't. Ibuprofen works better than Oxycontin on my pain because my brain is so jacked up chemically. Well, when you introduce, pornography and the chemical effects and the addiction that's created there over the course of years, like the addictive nature of this sin in my life was devastating. So while I was free from prison, I had then imprisoned myself once again into sin.
Yeah, and so if there's a guy right now listening that maybe they can't connect to your story of going, hey, never went to prison. Hey, never had a hard time serving in the church or with a role. There's this place now that you were free from the bars, the physical bars, but now bound by sexual sin. And there's some men that are listening that they may not actually have the bars that they were, like they don't see that they're bound, but they're bound behind a screen. They're not bound behind bars, but they're bound behind a screen. And there's the place where this starts moving into so many men's life of, so where is this freedom? And it's a struggle. It was a struggle for your life.
And the destructive nature of what this hidden toxic poison sin does to your life cannot be overstated. So when your wife finds out, it's devastating. It crushes her, right? It destroys her self-esteem. It destroys the trust that you have between the two of us. You feel like crap, and you're so motivated by her intense pain and your intense pain and embarrassment that you do repent. And then months go by, a year might go by, and then you're like, man, I really missed that sin. I really missed the pleasure I got from that sin. And then,
Because we've talked about in the past, sin can be fun.
For a
I mean,
season.
it is what it is. And, we've made mention, if you're not having fun in sin, you're
ain't
not
doing it right.
You're not doing
That's
it
right.
right. You had a lot of fun, didn't you?
I did, and this was a very sin that I was bound by for years. And
I think we've all, and you've made mention this before in a conference, but there's not a man alive that in some form or fashion has not been, sexual immorality, pornography or whatever has had some kind of impact in their life.
And
I don't care who you are.
a piece of paper with a credential calling us a minister does not free us from that.
Nope.
And neither does an amazing encounter with God. There is this place where it's a real fight for your life. It's the fight of your life for your life. And it was now affecting your family
Yeah. So,
and ministry.
one of the things Josh has helped me work through the last 7-8 years we've known each other. Gosh, 8 years, 9.
It's actually 10 years.
So one of the scriptures he had brought up was one of the messages to the church in the book of Revelation talks about, this church kind of still loved the spirit of Jezebel, right? And then there's this promise that he who overcomes will be given this authority. And then I also started thinking a lot about the authority of a husband over a wife, authority of husband as pastor of his household. And we discussed this right before we came on. I think there are two very different types of authority, right? So like the police have the authority to put cuffs on you and drag your butt to jail, right? They have authority given to them by the law. They have authority, by the state. They have this authority which is control and power, right? There's another authority when you're a subject matter expert. So I got a friend who's like the authority on like vintage basketball shoes. You want to know anything about this basketball shoe, he is the authority on the subject. He's the subject matter expert. When I think about the lack of authority I have had in my house, in my marriage for years, it's not about the control. It's not just about the respect. It is, I am not the subject matter expert on following Jesus. And so why would my wife follow me? Why would she think I'm the authority on the subject?
I hope some men are listening to that.
For a fact, I'm not the authority on that subject. And so it cut my legs out from under me to have confidence. And if you don't have confidence in who you are, and if your wife doesn't respect you, how are you going to stand up and serve the church in any capacity? You have no confidence in who you are. You don't think you're good enough. The enemy cut my legs out from under me for so long, and truly put me in a different prison.
What's up, guys? So we are still in this. John's telling the story, powerful story. Are you free? Free?
Are you free? Free?
Are you really free?
Are you?
So,
You're not just free.
are you free? Free?
Are you free? Free?
John's telling his story. We long for you to be free. Free.
Part 3.
Stick around for part 3.
Free.
Gratis.